Little leggy today.
She appears to be online, Brakken.
We're online. Kirk, before we get started, I want to pose something to the audience here. This is not the monetization of the podcast that they're expecting to hear. We're not selling ads. We're not doing anything like that. But this weekend, as I was telling you offline here, not online, but off recording, I finally cleaned my office here. And it was really, really bad. But in doing so, I uncovered an embarrassing amount of shoes that have never been worn.
I'm listening.
And most are shoes that were sent to me in the wrong size, or that in a few are shoes I ordered and just like fit a half size off, or have ordered for Lisa, or someone's like, hey, I'm going to have you test this, but I know Lisa runs. Can I send you this? Anyway, shoes that just never got worn, stickers still on kind of thing. So I want to float it to the audience. Is it bad form to sell these shoes to anyone who's listening or not listening at an extreme discount and use that to like pay a little of our overhead on this podcast?
No, it would be poor practice to not do that.
So just a little
How
tape.
good are them sitting there? First of all. Second of all, this isn't a charity organization, Brakken. We can't just give stuff away. We got to eat too.
No, we can't.
So you must give them away at a steep discount. Sell them.
Just in reach, I have 2 pairs of Vaporflies.
They look brand new. Brand new.
Still with the little plastic thing tying them together on there.
In fact, they're so bright and new, they're hurting my eyes.
Yeah, brand new. A foot has never touched them. You can see inside. They still have the stickers on. These are men's size 10. I used to be a 10. I'm a 10 and a half now.
That's the Vaporfly. That's the 2, right?
3. That's the 3.
Okay, the 3.
Have like some of the Adidas Speed Ultras from the trail. Let's see here.
Size 10.
These are women's, actually. I think they sent the wrong size. Maybe these are men's 10. These are women's 9 Pegasus Nature, I think they're called. Okay. This is the Zoom X one. Anyway, I got stuff like this all over, still with all the stuffing inside the shoes. It's just, I have new shoes everywhere, but they're so high performance, most of them, that I don't want to just give them to Goodwill because it's probably going to hurt someone. It's not going to be put to use. So if anyone wants these, I'll set up like a little Poshmark thing and just put all our untested shoes, or even shoes that were just tested for like 20 or 30 miles, and put them up there if you guys have any interest in that. Let us know if that's bad form.
My best advice would be to just throw up an Instagram story on the Running Public page or your personal with a picture of each shoe and their size. I bet you they will be gone within the day.
Maybe that's what I'll do.
You just need to take the 15 minutes to take a photo, post the IG story, and with the cost, and I bet you they're gone in a snap.
What would you list Vaporfly 3s for?
They're brand new. I mean, they still run $200 if you buy them. I would sell them for like $80. People throw themselves
$100 for those,
or $100. Yeah.
Anyway, that's all.
All right. I would like to share. Okay. So I think put them up on a story. I think that would be great form.
Excellent.
I would like to share that I have completed my boring workout progression as of today.
How many weeks is that?
So I dragged this thing out for 5 weeks. I wasn't perfect with it, meaning I didn't do the exact same things every week. Mm-hmm. I did a version of the things every week, but not doubled down, meaning I do 2 quality sessions a week, but I didn't always do those 2. But every week I did one of the same sessions with a type of progression. 12 by 3 minutes, 12 by 3:15, and then 12 by 3:30 today, all at 70-minute race pace. And then I did 3 24 by 400 meter sessions with 30 seconds rest, with a very, very gradual uptick in the pacing, but subtle, like a half a second to a second faster per 400 as I progressed. And I must say, I don't think I was a hero one time in the last 5 weeks. And I feel quite available.
Okay.
And I feel like I'd be ready to race on this as well. I haven't really touched speed. A 400 meter session with 30 seconds rest isn't really speed.
No.
The only speed I gave myself was I did 2 or 3 uphill tempos between 6 and 15% steady, but I had a heart rate cap. And then I finished with like 60 at 7 miles an hour at 15% or something. That made me work pretty good. But everything was sort of pace or heart rate governed. And I'm craving to like let it loose. And so it's interesting for me because I was almost a bit beat up in June, like not really craving the whole sitting in it and suffering because I did it so many times in training in the marathon lead in. And I got done with my session today and I'm like, I did 12 by 3:30. And I'm like, I want to look for something. Like I kind of want to, like, it makes me, I'm hungry still. I still have an appetite versus using my appetite in training. And so I'm at the end of that case study and now I'm going to figure out what to do with it. What do you think?
Do you feel like you've lost anything?
Not even a little. Maybe I wouldn't run as fast of a mile right now. I almost think I could go out and run a good 5K on this still.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And then how many times have you done strides or speed sprinkles?
None.
Okay.
0. So that's it. That's all I want to say. I'm not sure what this means. I haven't like applied this to anybody I'm coaching right now or anything. I always like to experiment with myself first, but it's just interesting to feel hungry after really good work instead of like kind of dreading the next one. There's anticipation. And so I gotta sort through it. But point being, your suggestion to me was a very sound one. I'm glad I went that route.
I'm glad it worked. There's no better feeling, I don't believe, as a runner than feeling like you're in pretty good shape and having hunger and excitement for what comes next and availability for what comes next.
Yeah. So anyways, I thought I'd just give a little update on that. I don't know what I'm going to do for my second session this week or next week, but I'm going to process and then see what I do with it. But I don't want to take too much time talking about this because we kind of have an important matter to get to today.
Very important. So we have seen something happen, unfortunately, for probably like the 3rd time now in the Spartan world, the obstacle course racing world. Now, if you are not an obstacle course racer, if you don't care about Spartan Race, don't turn this one off. It'll still be entertaining in some regard, and it'll talk about actual running. So this isn't how to be better at OCR. So don't get ahead of yourselves and just click this off. But I don't even know if you can fit it on one hand anymore. But there was a post that got made by a high-profile Spartan athlete of old and current who stated that she was owed thousands of dollars from Spartan. Still not paying their debts. And it kind of took off, would you say?
Yeah, I could have added my name and the amount they owe me to the list. I didn't. I saw it late, but they still have not paid me as well.
Okay. And other people shared it, and then she put out a poll, I believe, and people responded. And Jack Bauer took a screenshot of the first 2 pages of the story, and there was $50,000 in outstanding athlete debt there. And that does not include vendors and affiliates and all that stuff. So anyway, this is not good. Joe went on Matt B. Davis's show, I believe, and had a conversation with him and Yancey and was still blaming COVID and not taking accountability. Yes. So the fact that he's still the only company out loud blaming COVID for their current business practices, to me, is a sign that Spartan Pro Racing in North America is, if not dead, very, very, very close to dying. Pro racing for money and being paid for it.
I don't disagree with you. You can add $1,000 to that sum total for me.
Okay.
For me,
add as 1,000 or 2 for Macaulay.
Okay. And what the interesting thing about their debt they owed me is it's a signed contract on both ends for a partnership with Powerlift, the protein water. I had to make 3 posts. I got a bunch of product. I did like the product. Powerlift clearly paid Spartan, so they took Powerlift's money happily, and then Spartan never paid me the money. So and I made all the posts. I did my part. It wasn't even just like they're still on my feed. They paid me $0. I was just, I don't know what, they used me is what they did. I got payment for race results, but not for that.
Okay.
So point being, I want to add something to that. So I thought maybe, just maybe, this Trifecta World Championship in West Virginia may be like
Yeah.
a resurgence, right? Maybe a chance to make it feel like Spartan of old with the draw.
Mhm.
Did you see the competition list?
I saw the declared start list. Yes.
Not going to be there, is it?
No, it's not. So while Asia is booming for Spartan Race and Europe still seems strong, I believe that the pro side of obstacle course racing is dead or dying with Spartan. And this actually is not an episode to trash Spartan, nor to say Spartan's dead. It's to say, I believe the pro experience that you and I signed on for is done now. Even if they end up paying everyone, I believe this burnt the final bridges with the old guard and will give people reasons not to go out and trust that whatever Spartan puts out for prize money will ever get paid. And that was kind of the only thing still keeping people showing up at the high end of the pro ranks was nostalgia or the chance to get money. And if that is really well and true done, then I think that the tip of the spear, so to speak, of pro racing is done. Age group racing still may be alive and strong. I still coach people who are training for this. I still love the sport of it. I still will run a Spartan race if it's convenient for my schedule. But I think the pro experience that you and I knew is dead. And I want to have a eulogy for that today. I don't want to get on here and trash it because it's bad. I don't want to be sad because it's gone. I want to celebrate what it has done for us as runners.
I think that's a good angle to take. It's done more good than harm for us.
Yes.
And if the majority of your relationship you can look back on fondly and it's just a bitter taste at the end, doesn't discredit all the good before the bad.
Yes.
And so the eulogy is not bagging on, but singing the praises of what it has done for us.
Yes.
Because for me, I don't see myself towing another start line ever. Honestly, because of disgruntledness and low expectation from them. So a proper eulogy on my end, I would say, unless they bring a Spartan race back to Minnesota and I can drive to it, which they won't. So a true eulogy for me, I would say.
But a celebration of life is what we're doing here today. And so I want to kick this off with the very first thing that Spartan Race has given me as an athlete, as a coach, as a person, is the necessity. And for the first time in my life, when I did a Spartan Race, I started training to my weaknesses. Now, I think as runners, we always are kind of training to our weaknesses because how many people are naturally strong aerobically? Very few. It takes development to get that. But my entire life, I had trained specifically to race demands of time and duration. Like time, I shouldn't even say time, of pace and duration. Even intensity or RP never really entered the equation. We were track runners who ran a little bit of cross country. And we just said, how fast do we need to run? And we're going to run intervals at that pace or slightly faster or slightly slower for this number of reps. And that's as far as training plans went. It was never designed around what am I lacking, because it was only one thing. I'm lacking speed. I need more speed. Mm-hmm. That was it. Spartan Race changed my training fundamentally because for the first time ever, I looked at where was I exposed? What does that say about my training? And how do I go about fixing that?
So you're thanking Spartan for forcing you out of your box.
Yes. I mean, that could be this entire episode as they forced me out of the box. But the first thing was specifically, I had never really considered why my weaknesses were my weaknesses from a training perspective. It was just, I need to get faster. I need to get faster. I need to get faster. Spartan changed that.
What year was that again for you? 2013?
2012.
2012. And you pursued Spartan full force 2012 through 2019?
Not full force. I'd say 17.
And then byproduct of injury and some other things.
Yeah.
From there on.
18 for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I never run a hill in my dang life. Never once. The first hill I ran, true hill, was 2 weeks before the Spartan Race World Championship. I went to the local ski hill. Probably left my race there, to be honest with you, because I was ready to go for it. And yes, I also had to double down on my weaknesses. In the first year, I bought a Nordic Track brand new incline trainer, $4,500. I bought rec bags. I filled buckets with sand, and I went from 3 to 6 miles in a vacuum to 3-hour pushes carrying stupid buckets and sandbags and completely reinventing the way I trained and leveled up my running because of it. And I've told that story before, but if I hadn't found it, I think there's a chance I still would be just bro lifting and running casual miles. But
Yeah.
it sparked life in me at 2016. So at 33 years old, without real direction with my like athletic performance pursuits, it like struck life into me. And I don't think it'd be doing this today. I wouldn't be doing this today if it wasn't for finding the sport. We wouldn't have this podcast together if it wasn't for that sport.
We never would have met.
Never would have met. That's sad.
It is.
About.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm going to lead right into my second one then. And then if you want to go from there. But the second thing that it did, which is funny to say now because I feel like it's become fundamentally my identity as like my thing as a coach and a runner. But Spartan made me, for the first time ever, think about why I chose what I chose, gear, shoes, nutrition wise. Up until that point in my life, while I would consider myself like a little bit of a sneakerhead, it was all based around what looks good and what feels good. 100% of the track spikes I ever raced in were bought off of appearance. And I would say 100% of the shoes I trained in were based off of what felt good on my feet, which isn't bad. But up until that point, I had never, ever considered, why do I wear these shorts or this top other than appearance? I had never considered hydration. I had never considered fueling. I had never considered traction. In fact, I ran my first college indoor season in a pair of spikes that was slippery on Mondo tracks indoor because they had terrible traction from anything behind like the ball of my foot. But they looked so clean that I raced in. I ran the conference indoor 800 meters in a shoe that I was slipping in slightly on every single step on each turn.
Fashion comes with a price.
Yeah, and fashion was foremost for me at that point. So Spartan made me consider why I chose everything that touched my body in training and racing. Never before did anything matter other than comfort or looks.
It's a good one. I never thought about anything but how a shoe looked and felt just like you until, my long runs were 10 miles on the roads. You know, what was that for me? 70 minutes.
Yeah.
I tripled that in some of my training sessions because of Spartan. The thing that I am realizing I'm missing right now, which Spartan gave me and I loved, and you could say the same about hybrid training and racing, is that people often work out or train in order to look a certain way. Like that is not uncommon to go to a gym and people are doing exercises to create an aesthetic, feel better about themselves. That's very common. It's probably most people in the gym. One of my favorite parts about Spartan racing is the training makes you a monster. You are not weak, you are strong because the training required will be a result of that. You are not only powerful, you have endurance because the training requires you to have such. Not only that, but then suddenly you are in the ninja gym and you are skilled and you have the best upper body proprioception through space that you've ever had. My grip strength now is embarrassing compared to what it was then. And it forced me to train so many facets of athletic fitness. And aesthetics was a byproduct of training for something I love. Not like I'm going to the gym to bench press to look good. It was like, I am training for a race that has demands. And the byproduct is the physique that it created. And that's the truth. And now, in order to do that, I actually have to fight logic and fight what actually makes sense for running fast because aesthetics are still important to me. And it almost gave you a free pass, and same with hybrid, to go be the monster on both ends you wanted and call it training. I can't call weighted pull-ups training anymore. I can't,
Yeah,
not for what I want to do. And so I loved the reason that it all worked together.
I agree.
Now it doesn't do that anymore.
I agree. And I believe that there is some power to using the muscles you're building in a sport specific manner that makes them more efficient while running. For example, if I'm doing a lot of push ups, burpees, burpee broad jumps, but I'm also bench pressing and I'm also doing flies, but I'm doing workouts where I'm getting a chest pump from burpees or something and getting up and running 1,000-meter intervals at 10K pace, I believe strongly that I'm a more efficient runner in that manner than if I just bench and build my chest for looks and then run in a vacuum. Something about using those and converting that right into a run right afterwards meant that I could run efficiently at a different musculature in OCR or hybrid than I could just doing physique and running.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. I felt it.
Yeah.
I'm back to physique and running, kind
Atta
of.
baby.
Yeah. You know what else, though? Just talking about the training and what it, a byproduct, I guess, of the racing itself is I think we level up in our ability to, let's call it suffer in a race or in training. But I really thought I knew what suffering and sinking your teeth into it was before some of these Spartan races. I had no idea
Yeah.
the level of suffer when you're truly racing these events, right? When you're trying to nail the tip of the spear, and at least from my experience, I had never experienced forcing myself to sit in it in that sort of discomfort, cresting 1,000-foot climb, carrying 120 pounds of sand, and then only to look up and there's another 1,000 feet and you're already bankrupt. That sort of thing re-gauged my perspective on pain and managing that in a race. In fact, running and clean running right now, often, although very painful, of course, at times when you're racing in particular, seems very approachable
Yeah.
comparatively.
Well, and it's its own limiter. When you run out of aerobic or anaerobic capacity, you slow down or you can't accelerate. And that was the extent to your race. Like you were as tough as you were fit.
Mm-hmm.
And in OCR, because you're switching between things, you were allowed to get way deeper into the pain cave and then continue throwing yourself at that event. And that's just different. You're limited. You can get as nasty as you want in a running race. You can get into some terrible places. But if you hit a fitness limiter, that's the end of your true suffering, and a different type of suffering happens. But that was not the case when you shifted between big climbs or carries and flats and descents. You just kept finding new tunnels of pain to go down. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that my 5K PR came when I was in my OCR career, because I absolutely had better 5K fitness when I graduated college. I'd run college cross country my 5th year, and then I had got my mile down to like the 414, 415 range. And I ran 16:29 in a 5K, because once I sat in it for like 8 to 10 minutes, I was like, I can't hold this. I can't continue. And then just off doing threshold stuff and Spartan stuff, I ran 40 seconds faster because I got to a mile and a half and wanted to quit. And I was like, well, I'm going to keep like throwing some stuff at this because I know it won't break anymore. I wasn't in better fitness. I was just less fragile.
Calloused.
Yeah. I knew that it wouldn't break. And that was something Spartan taught, is that the warning bells that go off on the track can be ignored when there are other things at play. And I just didn't think that those warning bells meant anything other than certain death, which they do on the track. They don't when there's uphills and downhills and things like that.
Yeah, I think you learned how to better sit in it as well. I mean, that's really it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. You know, it's kind of too bad about the fact we're doing this eulogy for Spartan is that to this day, it's still my favorite race experience of all race experiences.
Yeah.
I have not found something that makes me feel the way I feel after a hard-earned Spartan race on terrain. I mean, all this pure run metric pursuits is awesome.
Yeah.
But how many stories can I tell about my 5K when it's done? But when you experience 13 plus miles in rugged terrain in West Virginia, and you got stung by 6 hornets, a black bear ran across the trail in front of you, you got stuck in mud and didn't think you'd get out, there's 16 cuts on your body and you fell off. I mean, the experience of it and the, I guess like that finish line feel. I've not experienced that exact feel
Yeah.
anywhere else. Have you? The product is so good. At its best, that product was the best race experience I have ever had.
Yeah. And I feel like we are qualified to talk on this because we did run in college. Like, we
Yeah.
had the pure running experience at we weren't high level, but a high enough level. Like, we went to a Division III national championship. That's not the highest level. We know that. But it's a glimpse of what the high level is.
Yeah.
Just a glimpse. And you can extrapolate what it's like from there. And track races can be so satisfying to win or to set a PR. But the story is twofold. At most, it's threefold. I went out at blank pace. I covered blank move, and I either closed or I had no kick. Those are the only stories of the race. Sometimes I got tripped, and that was the end of my race. Or I got boxed in. That was the end of my race. But the idea of a process-based goal during a track race was like non-existent. The only process-based goal there was clicking off splits. But
Mm-hmm.
how many times in an OCR race, especially they get 10K or longer, particularly that 10-mile longer, would you get to a point in the race being like, I did that. I just checked that off. I survived that. I have new lease on life. Or I was dropped and I just crushed this thing and I'm back in it. Or they made a mistake or I just had my best descent ever and I'm back in the race. Or something happens and your race is already worth it and you're not done with the race. There's so many parts of the process of OCR that I've never found. The closest I found is an ultra, but even that, it's 2-1 gear to ever replicate what Spartan had for the all-encompassing race experience. You're right. Nothing has ever touched it for me.
Mm-mm. I can't think of one experience. And the thing is, it's the best and worst thing about Spartan is that it's never guaranteed, even if you're in the lead.
Yep.
And even if you're behind, you have to stay pressing if you care, because anything could happen to the people in front of you, which could catapult you into a new position. So what happens is, if I've won many races and so have you, you're leading a race, but you can't get comfortable because what if I fail this? Or what if that? I need to stay on it to build a buffer in case of worst case scenario. So not only sometimes you can win and let off the gas, like nobody's around, you can't. You have to stay on it, fully engaged no matter what. And if you're behind, the incentive to stay on it and do your best because you could capitalize on anybody's mistakes in front of you is high. And so what it does is I found I like never sandbagged it no matter what. It was like it always brought everything out of me no matter what because of the what ifs. And although that was frustrating and you could be on the receiving end of that, you could also be on like the giving end of it at times too. And like that just like was in hindsight, a really nice thing about the sport.
So you stole this topic for later from me, but we're here. So I love that we're talking about it. That's the exact thing that Spartan gave me, was a pure race. Because I've said this before on here, but my freshman year, my first indoor race was a mile. And the coach was like, how do you plan on running this? It's like, I don't know. I've never run an indoor race. I've never run a high school track meet. He said, well, don't lead until you know you can keep it. It's like, that's really good advice. I'm going to sit on this. Well, to a very impressionable kid who had success using that in his first race, guess what became my Achilles heel?
Yeah, I can imagine.
Ever taking a chance in a race. And it followed me all the way through college, where my races that went well because I held on and I kicked well. And the races that didn't go well were because I let things go too far. I never let a race, never, that I didn't know I could keep. And so how many times in my college career did I close towards something great and come up a little short? Like, the best I ever finished was second place at a conference championship. And I closed in the mile, I closed in something like 27 seconds for the last 200, which is way too fast for a guy who ran like 4:16 that day. It's because I waited way too long, and I closed and cut the gap from 30 meters down to like 1 in the final 150 meters. But guess what? I didn't win the race because I didn't put myself in it. Well, what Spartan Race forces you to do because of failed obstacles is be honest with your effort from the start. Because if you sit and wait and save energy and sit and wait and then fail an obstacle, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to build up a gap, or you have to stay in contact. There is no slow play in a race. To some extent, you can a little bit, but you have to press. And so, like you said, you get everything out of yourself. If you come up short, it's because you ran out of oomph. And if you come up a little short, like closing on people, it's because they were faster and you just couldn't close down. But it's not because, oh, I decided to let them go or sit on someone. There's no sitting. You just race.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
You
And
can't
also,
stop championship races on the track from being sit and kick unless someone decides to go. They can't get around that. There's no way they've come up with getting around that. But OCR just inherently has it because there's too many risks throughout the race that you can't let it wait.
yeah, I also think like just talking about like one of your first points about being so like metric based in college, and I was all about, I mean, hundredths of seconds in the 800. I mean, honestly, tenths at minimum. Like none of that actually really ended up mattering because you're either running through a farm field or you're running on weird terrain or you're dodging sticks or you're going up a mountain. And it was like really hard to get out of that mindset. And you learned how to go from like time pace based to like effort based. And it became like a whole new way to like sort of learn your fitness because we could be calculated. We had learned how to do that. We were supposed to do that in college and then some of our road metric running afterwards. But like, there's like a whole, I mean, my most epic blowups didn't come in a pure run race. They've come in this like learning your body terrain type racing, at least for me. So it was like probably like a really educational thing personally too, just like feeling your way through it instead of metricing your way through it, I guess we'll call it.
Well, and everyone brought so many different forms of metrics to the race. You had people in our sport in one particular race. You had people that had run as fast as 1350 in a 5K and as slow as 1850. And they were all a threat to make the top 3 podium. That's just mind blowing. And so as a result, everyone was forced to cover moves they weren't comfortable with and weren't sure what the move meant. If someone's flying down a trail, you don't think like, well, we're running 420 pace. I know they can only keep that for a quarter mile, or like you're on the track. They're running 70s. We should be running 72s. They're going to come back to us. You don't know on the trail. Is this terrain their best type of terrain? Is this just a surge? But if it is a surge, if they get out of sight and I don't see what happens next, or there was even a time back in the day where there were options for which route to take, turn left or turn right. It was called the scramble gamble or something. No, that was superhero. This was the Spartan gamble, I believe they called it. You could choose to go left or right. Didn't last for very long, but like, you can't lose contact with people like that. Because if you choose the wrong way and their route ends up being 50 seconds faster, your game's over. So you just had to cover all moves. And that made racing just like a huge uncertainty. I don't know if I ever felt certain during a race, even if I was confident. It was a constant, like ever ranging uncertainty during a race of, can I keep this? Do I have to keep this? Can he keep this? On the track, you've seen their PRs, you know what they can run, you know what like popping a race would mean for every person in the field and what a bad race would mean. And that's like a difference of a half second to a second per lap. There's no real uncertainty there, but there was nothing but uncertainty in Spartan Race, and that made racing exhilarating, but it also made you have to train in so many different ways.
Yeah, and you had athletes you'd see, let's say like a Ryan Atkins, who most of the time would sit back and then pounce, but then once in a while he would go and drive from the front. And then like there was many ways to do it, I think, and often going with, you could also choose not to. You could be the aggressor and sneak away with it because you can lose somebody around a 90-degree turn in the forest, and pretty soon you just stole the race. When in a vacuum, you would have been 10th. I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
That's honestly what made a lot of people leave the sport, is people were really frustrated before any of this recent stuff was like, my fitness didn't show through again because I failed 3 things. I'm so sick. I'm better than these guys and girls, but they're beating me. Screw this. I'm out. And the ones who like stuck it out, like a Woodsy or somebody who finally like got it figured out, was just like one of those things where you just couldn't nail it out of the gates. You couldn't nail it initially. You couldn't even nail it in a season if you raced a lot. You like had to keep showing up because there was like too many angles to work.
Yeah,
that's how I felt about it. Know what? I'm gonna end up setting you up to talk most about this.
Good.
So I'll lead with it. So in my mid-30s, I had signed a very loose pro contract. I had made tens of thousands of dollars because of Spartan and my partnerships. I was incentivized and encouraged and raced for free for a long period of time to go show up and just represent the brand well. And the partners I worked with, like Gone Rogue, A-Shock, some of them like were phenomenal people and phenomenal brands. I was flown to races to run and represent those companies. I got to do something I loved for free. I think really what it comes down to is it probably was a net wash for me to go fly around the country, be in places I would never go otherwise, experience as like a, what would you call me? A mid-pack pro? Maybe I scratched the surface of being a top tier athlete at times, but like I got paid to race at minimum funded my passion in my mid 30s. That's very rare. And I have to be very lucky. And a lot of us felt almost entitled when it was taken away. And I never felt that way. I just felt like it was a good run while it lasted. I was thankful for the fact that we had that. Not we demand more. Everybody demanded, I want more pay and I want more travel money. And I was like, I'm 35 and I'm going across the country and getting my stuff paid for the most part. How do I complain? I would have never had that opportunity. Now you were a true pro. And so I just figured you should speak about that.
Well, I was even a tier below the top. So I was even getting less. The first year, I had the second best contract the first round through. But after that, like I wasn't a world champion threat. I wasn't the Atkins, the Albin, the Hobie, the Cody, the Novakovic, the Killian. They all got more than me. But what I understood through this was that all my contemporaries on the track and roadside, who on their worst day could beat me backwards, were scrambling and scrounging to fit in their 100-mile weeks to try to run for 40% off shoes. And here we were getting to fly for free around sometimes, across oceans, constantly around the country, and see and experience that lifestyle and train as much as we wanted to because we were getting paid to do it at a time in life when everyone else was trying to fit it in and still scrounge and scramble by to make a living. Like I was scrounging and scrambling still, but it was because I didn't have a real job anymore. It was just, we were afforded an opportunity that was well above our talent level. As a runner, I was never top 3 on my college team. And yet I have made, this is like, it's going to sound like a flex, but it's not. I made more money off my legs than any runner I've ever competed against in college. And that's not an exaggeration. Not one athlete that I ever lined up on the track against made their full living as a runner. Yeah, that's true. Because even when we were D1, like Josh McDougall and them, I didn't actually step on the track with them. If you count cross country, there were a few that probably with one shoe contract matched or exceeded what I had. But other than D1 cross country, no one ever did it because it's so few and far between. It is so hard to earn your living as a marathoner. You have to be so exceptionally good. And I wasn't. I was a very good athlete in a very moderately okay runner's body. And I got to live my life off of that. And that is so rare and exceptional. And I will never, ever be anything but grateful for Spartan for that chance.
Yeah. What do you think, if you had to add it up, there's a lot of costs associated, but what do you think you made from Spartan over your years? Any idea?
I don't have an idea. My best year of race earnings was $26,000.
Is that including like your contracted money?
$26,000 in race earnings.
You think about a guy.
That's crazy. I'd have to be running like 2:08 in a marathon to get that. We don't deserve that as runners, but it was there for the taking.
I was somewhere, I think I was 5th in the national series and I was 6th one year in the national series. So right in the middle. But you think in 1 year I had 2 $5,000 contracts a year, Gone Rogue and A-Shocks. That's $10,000. You get a series payout. I took a couple 4ths or 5ths. And then you look and you're like, okay, and you ran some small races, and it was probably a $13,000 year, $12,000 a year, and that at least covered all of my travel, my hotel, my food. Race entry was free, and I maybe came up with a few extra $1,000 at most. Like, as a guy who has like a normal job and I had very minimum requirements, and that was my best year with them. That was one banner year for me with those two contract
Mhm.
sponsorships. But like, can you imagine if somebody today said, Kirk, yeah, wear our shoes and make a post about it. We're gonna give you $10,000 to go run marathons for the year and chase it. I'd be like, are you kidding me?
Exactly.
You kidding me? That wouldn't exist with how my running times are now. I wouldn't have a chance. And so
No.
you're right. It was an unbelievable gift.
I ran with guys who were national champs, all Americans, raced against people who went on to make Olympic trials, and not one of them received a signing bonus for a team ever. I was given a signing bonus one year. As I was signing it, I was like giggling. You guys have no clue what you're doing here. This doesn't exist in running. Like, I complained with the best of them when Spartan started hosing people towards the end. But right up until that point, I was fully aware that this doesn't exist outside the Spartan bubble. Flying for free? Pro runners still don't always fly for free.
Yeah.
Pro runners are still splitting hotel rooms. Who did we just hear about? Was it on athletic team? They were talking like, I was rooming with whoever. And I was like, what? You were rooming?
They all do, I think, when
You're
you
an
hear.
Olympian.
Uh-huh.
We had the ability to click a hotel room on Egencia, on a website, on a portal, and just have it appear, and we're good. Like that, we were so spoiled beyond our wildest dreams from this sport. And as a result, I had the first 2 years, Braden was, I think, 3 months old at my first Spartan race and my second Spartan Race World Championships. The first legitimate one out in Killington. Kids fly free until they're 2. I also got travel stipends, so Lisa traveled free. Our family of 3 traveled free around the country and partially the world for 2 years without spending a dime. To repeat, I am a 1542 5K runner at my peak. That does not win women's or girls' high school cross-country meets in most states. That is now 43 seconds off the fastest high school 5K by a woman this year. She's not flying to races for free. We were just so unbelievably spoiled, and it afforded our family some really awesome opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, they were so good about it too until they weren't. Like, even
Right.
but broadcasting, like one year I was injured and I got to do some commentating on the Spartan World Champs, and Joe DI, I mean, love him or hate him, guy he got me my flight, he got me my hotel, he said, get here, we'll take care of you. And they did, and it was right away. And it was like there was a time period there where you were taken care of. All right. Well, I figured that was very important to touch on, because it really brings us to like the fact. I mean, how many of your buddies originated from? I haven't met many of my best friends at a local 5K, Brakken. I don't know about you. It created a family, I think. And I think that was in a community, which is where like the coaching spawned from for us. Honestly, we started really as OCR coaches, predominantly. Didn't you not?
If I look around my circle, Lisa and I from time to time talk, like, because we had moved out to Colorado and roomed with people, and we always see people doing training camps and stuff. And the conversation comes up like, who could we live with? Who could we live near? If so-and-so lived in a city near us, like, who would we see the most? And of the people that I didn't grow up with or go to school with, like 90% of that list are people I've met through the sport.
Brings in good people, brings in the like-minded adventure chasers, but still like decent, good-hearted human beings who are kind of down for anything, go with the flow, type A generally.
Like relaxed A's.
Relaxed A's, but still there's some type A. Yeah, just like a good bet that you'll probably want to hang out or get along with whoever's shoulder to shoulder with you.
Even little things, not little, but like random, like Ross Weimer, for example. That's a random association because we taught together at Bigfoot High School. But we were 3 or 4 months into the school year when we first talked. We were just cordial. We'd nod, we'd say hi, whatever. And I saw him at the Gladiator Assault race, I believe it was. He was with his girlfriend at the time. And he judged me for warming up in I raced in compression shorts and Nike waffle racers. It was January in Wisconsin. It was a snow race, but I didn't have anyway, it was just like, that guy's a tool, but like we might need to train together. And that's when we started talking and hanging out. We were coworkers and hadn't yet developed anything until we saw each other at an obstacle course race. Huh. He was a college running back. He was 6 months out of that. I was a college runner, and we started chatting after that day. But who knows what would have happened if we don't see each other at that race. It's like these random little threads.
Yeah, I mean, this podcast, I mean, it was an OCR podcast. Let's just call really heavily. We had to really decide even not to label this an OCR podcast to make sure we didn't trap ourselves in only the OCR market. Hence the name, The Running Public. But I mean, a lot of the talk was like, we're going to have an OCR podcast.
Our first guest was
all of most all of them, other than Carrie. Yeah, we're all OCR based. Yeah.
What that brings me to, what it gave me is, it gave me an appreciation and a need to learn about running. When I started OCR, I was already teaching high school and coaching running at the high school level, along with basketball. And I had already, during college, helped coach a cross-country team and a track team for 2 years. So I was already in my third year of coaching, and I'd yet to give a workout out that I hadn't done in high school or college track. I was just coaching what I've been taught. And that is the cycle. That is what happens. People run under someone. That's their system. They don't understand it, but they know how to execute it. And it wasn't until I got to OCR and ran my first world championship and experienced my first muscle cramp and my first bonk and my first body shutdown that I bought my first running book. And then I bought a triathlon book, and then I bought a heart rate training book. And I don't do those things unless I discover these weaknesses that I talked about earlier that Spartan Race exposed. If I didn't have to find out why I had weaknesses, I never would have learned about running. I would have known running, but not about why running worked or didn't work, and training worked or didn't work. It sent me down the next 15 years of exploring the ins and outs of running, which led us together. And now we have this podcast, and this is our life now. None of this becomes our thing if we didn't go to our first race and get exposed. You never would have found me through coaching if you hadn't done that first exposing experience at a Spartan race. I never would have picked up a running book.
Apex, what was it?
Well, this was Leaderboy, but it was the Apex project. Yeah.
Freaking people had Apex drawn on their chest in black magic marker. And I was like, what is this Apex?
We couldn't afford temporary tattoos yet.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it was black magic marker. And it was like, I took 5th or something. And 3 of the guys that beat me had Apex crap. I mean, I know all the guys, Mike, Ian, Garrett something, I think. And I was like, what is this all about? I just got handed to me. Yeah. But at my first race, they were all there, and they had Apex headbands. You had Apex, I think they were white headbands.
Headbands,
I was, what is this crap?
Yeah.
I remember. Oh, yeah.
So, it forced me to become well-rounded, and that process brought us to where we are now. And it's going to dictate the rest of my life. Every single thing I do from this point on is a direct or indirect result of going to my first Spartan race. And that's not hyperbole.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. What do you think? Let's say the sport didn't exist. Any idea what you would have ended up pursuing, or how that would have manifested, do you think, for you?
I would have done a triathlon at some point, I think.
Okay.
I would have pursued fitness things. I would have kept playing men's league basketball and bar league softball, and I would have tried to train. Maybe I would have trained for an Ironman someday, but I didn't love any of those trainings. I loved competing. Spartan showed me that I love trail running and I love hill running. And then that led me to fall in love with the process of just running and quality sessions I fell in love with. I never loved quality sessions in college. He couldn't. So I don't know what I would have done. I think I would have done the classic post-collegiate athlete thing, which is be aimless for a long time. Spartan avoided a midlife crisis for me because in my 30s, I was pursuing a goal.
Mm-hmm.
I traveled, I raced, I competed, I got my adrenaline rushes. And so maybe it's still coming, but I didn't need like to seek something to jostle my life because Spartan jostled it daily. So I don't know. I have no clue where my life would have gone. There's a real good chance we're still in Walworth. I'm teaching at Bigfoot High School, doing that 30-year path thing.
Does that make you
Buying
feel
stuff
weird?
we don't need.
Mm-hmm. We still do that.
Yeah, but now I can justify it as, oh, this is good for blank, rather than just to keep up with the Joneses.
I think I would be with my current pursuits almost exactly where I am right now. And I think the path on the way to this would have been very, very different. I think I would have ended up pressing run metrics as I got older and doubling down. I was worried about aesthetics a lot with TV days and things. So I would have done the gym bro thing and I would have continued to do it maybe a little longer, but eventually my heart was still running. It really was and is. And I think I would have ended up similarly somewhere pursuing, like I'd be running races for sure, with regularity. Especially as I got closer to 40, I think I still would have got the same bug to like be a master's athlete and do well at my age in quotes. But the route would have been very probably linear in nature. I would certainly not have the tools in my tool belt as far as coaching, training acumen, how to get the most out of myself. The learnings would have been much less, but I think I'd still probably be doing what I'm doing, a version of it. But I think I would have pushed it off a few more years before I started really committing to the endurance space again.
Yeah, I have a lot of uncertainty with what I would have done, but I do know that I can't imagine myself happier than I am now with the life balance and everything I have. I think Lisa and I talk about this a lot. The way we've crafted our lives has happened because the Spartan experience showed us that it was an option. Neither of us do the thing that we went to college for. We raise our kids differently than I think we would have. I think we have a life bubble right now that wouldn't have existed if we weren't shown that it was an option through Spartan Race. So however much heartbreak they've caused us and however many frustrations we've had, my life is better and I'm a happier person for having done this.
Well, the bitter taste is because you were let down and and I'm speaking to the masses, the pro masses, and you were let down because you had something so good for so long and then she deceived you.
Yeah.
And that's why the taste is so bitter, because there was a honeymoon phase and it was very good and fulfilling and let us live a life and dream that we wanted for a while. It's the reason the hostility exists now. Yeah. Correct? Because of how much it gave us at a certain point in time. And so rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
It
took a runner and it made me love running. It's weird that it did that. It took a college runner and made him love running by distracting him from pure running.
That's backwards.
Yeah.
But I get it. I think your this eulogy might be about at its end here, mostly because I think you got kids to get or you got somewhere to go.
Got things to do.
You got things
We're
to
grinding
do.
here, Kirk. But thank you all for showing up today for the Spartan eulogy.
Spartan sector of age group is still alive and well. There's I saw the list, a big showing at West Virginia Trifecta World Champs in the age group sector. It's not as much the pro sector. So they're still very worthwhile showing up to. The user experience is still great.
OCR
should race them. OCR is not dead. It's still a great product. Some of us just shine away for those reasons. That's all.
Spartan Pro, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But we love you.